Hey guys, and welcome back to Brexit. Brexit England, Northern Ireland, and Eastern Europe. And in Brexit England, our Home Secretary made a complete klutz, fool, twat, idiot of herself in the committee meeting yesterday. Corella de Braverman was unbelievably stupid. The thing is with her is that in the committee meeting, what she was really saying was, why are you asking me? I don't really care. I'm not really that interested. But she couldn't just say that, because obviously that's not really the type of stuff you can really say when people ask, when committee members are asking you very serious questions. But, this is the reason why she doesn't get interviewed, especially by someone like me. Right? Because, but then she could just lie to me and just say, oh, you know what, I've got to leave now, and that's it, and go. Right? But from the committee meeting, she's got to give them real answers. And, it was a very, very simple, what's his name? Tim Loughton or something like that, or Ian Loughton. Well, it's one of them, something like that. But he's a Tory MP anyway. Right? But so he sat on this committee and he said to her, well, if I was like a 16-year-old boy who had to, to get out of my African country, how could I seek asylum in Britain? If my brother lives in Britain, I want to come here. How could I seek asylum? And she just done, the Little Britain thing, where they say, because what was his name? His name Gareth, the only gay in the village. Right? When the woman asked him, and she says to him, like, how many sexual partners have you had? And he's like, none. Right, that's how Corella de Braveman felt yesterday. Right, she just because the truth is, right, these people have villainized people that come here on boats, but that's the only way they can actually come here. They can't come here no other way. And yesterday she was forced to actually admit that, oh well, you have to get to Britain to seek asylum. So, well, why have you made it illegal then? Why are you telling people that that's illegal? Because that's not illegal. Because, she basically said it yesterday. Well, once you claim asylum, then obviously you're not illegal. That's what she basically said yesterday. Because she couldn't say anything else. Because they said, well, what routes have they got to come here? If you're not from, say, Afghanistan or from Ukraine, or from Hong Kong, what routes have they got to seek asylum here? There are none. That's what the truth is, right? And she just got caught out. She was like the proverbial rabbit in the headlights, but only the rabbit got hit, right, by the truck. Right? They didn't get away, right? And that's what she was like, right? But I still maintain that she knows all of this. She, all the answers. Her face was a picture, but I don't really think she really cares about that anyway. And the Tories, the Tories, they need, the reason why she could just do this and, just prove real incompetence. Like, the same thing Michael Gove done exactly the same thing on the radio this morning, where they said to him, well, how much houses have you built, have been built, like, last year or whatever? And he said, well, he didn't know. We'll say, how much are you building this year? Don't know. Just like, don't know. They can get away with that, not knowing their brief, because these are not people who are good at government. You can tell that because our standard of living has dropped and our cost of living has risen. So you can tell that these are not good people with their brief. And Michael, and believe me, out of the lot of them, Michael Gove is one of the most competent out of the lot of them. But this morning, don't know my brief. Who cares, right? So Corella, she's like, she's a barrister, right? So she knows. So she knows what her brief is. But they've brought her in to do the nasty work. And any other like Home Secretary in the past, especially if like looking back at the big beast in the past, right? Any other Home Secretary in the past, they would have just lost their job over this, over that foolishness in that committee because, it was absolutely, it was just scrappy for her. And she just looked. It just made her look really stupid. And she was turning to her colleagues and trying to get her colleagues involved in her nonsense. You know what I mean, there was just like, and the colleague was like, had to say something that was just a load of rubbish as well. So but this is, this is what happens, right, when you have people in charge, right, who have absolutely no clue what they're doing. This woman made a total fool of herself. The only thing that the Tories have to offer people, right, is culture wars, racism, xenophobia and bigotry. And I wonder why the people of this country seem to really want that. That's what they seem to really want to go for. And welcome back to By Any Means Necessary. Thank you so much for all your messages sent me. Special thanks to everybody who signed up to my channel. I feel so blessed with so much people that signed up. Thank you so much for that. I'll go through all your messages. I'll answer as many as I can, but I will like all the messages definitely. And we're going to start in America, because we're going to start with some of these MAGA fools. Because these MAGA people are really just like, they are twisted. Right, their minds, right, are bent around, right, like when one of the weightlifters just bend the bar. That's how these people's minds are twisted. Their minds are twisted, right, like a corkscrew. There's something wrong with them. These people need some type of drugs to keep them calm. Start with MAGA. A MAGA supporter is facing years in prison after threatening the fact checkers. Not fact checkers, facts. Right? The people who fact check Donald Trump. He's going to start threatening them people, right? When all they're doing is just checking the facts and they're just relating the facts. Right? It's not, fact checkers don't lie. They just check facts. And then once they've checked those facts, they say, oh, actually, you was wrong about that. Or, you're a fucking liar. Now he's gonna start threatening the fact checkers, so they contacted the police. Police obviously, this looks like domestic terrorism, so they've got to contact the FBI. FBI have gone round to see him, and the first thing he does is threaten to kill the FBI agents. I say what? And now his ass is facing years in prison. But let me tell you, these people, they're unhinged. That's what you've got to remember about the MAGA people. And you've got to understand where this is coming from. This has come from Donald Trump. We said that, putting Donald Trump in charge, this man will be prepared to tear the country to pieces to get his own way. And because he didn't win the last election, he lost against Hillary by over 3 million votes. He lost to Hillary Clinton by over 3 million votes. So they virtually fixed it for him then. And then the next time he lost by 7 million votes. Can't fix that one. Right? So now, another MAGA madman. A man has been charged with threatening the FBI director. The FBI director, right? And a Democratic congressman. These people are crazy. There's something wrong with them, right? He believes they was running a sex child ring. Now, where do you think that come from? That's all QAnon. Donald Trump is pushing QAnon theories. Something about JFK's, I don't know, second cousin removed or something is going to appear under some bridge or something like that. These people, seriously, cannot be trusted, with little plastic scissors. Right? The blue and the pink ones what you used to get to kids. Right? That would be pink for a boy and blue for a girl. I think. Anyway, right, those scissors can't be trusted with those, right? Because these people, how are you going to go and threaten the FBI director? It's bad enough, right? The other guy, right? The FBI coming around his house and threatening them. Right? This guy, he's threatening the director of the FBI. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to murder you. I've got a bullet with your name on it. You think, you've had people going and attacking FBI offices. All to do with Donald Trump. Donald Trump has unleashed, right, the crazies, right? And I just look at all these people who vote along with these people. I think to myself, well, you can see all of this, right? You can see armed men turning up at polling stations and things like that. You can see all of that. And that's what you want, is it? No, these people need to be got out of power immediately. They don't need to have any power anywhere. Because you can't be, America running in this fashion. Through I know that I know there's a lot of violence over there, but when it comes down to like political issues, people shouldn't be getting violent over political issues because this person votes different to that person. That's just ridiculous, right? Armed men shouldn't be turning up down to ballot boxes and things like that. And if you are a Republican, you should find that unacceptable. You should say, well, this is unacceptable. But they've all watched this film, whatever, Thousand Mules or whatever it was, which is like, it's a film, but these people think it's a documentary. Right, that guy Cash Patel, I think it's him who's made it. Right, and this guy must have made big bucks off of this film. Just because you have to say, well, all of that, because this is the reason why these people are out threatening FBI because of people like this. You say, well, they can't even work out for themselves. Well, how is an election gonna be stolen? I mean, you've got to have like Republicans actively working against Republicans, and we have a name for them. I believe they're called rhinos. Stupid. Absolutely, just really, really stupid. And remember we was talking about the special prosecutor that Merrick Garland has brought in. It's a guy named Jack Smith. Apparently he's supposed to be a very, very serious character. But he did work at he worked at The Hague, and I think he worked at the a few DA's offices in America, but at a really, really high level. And the first thing Donald Trump has come out and said that he's a lefty, right? And that's the reason why. But when you read anything about this guy, nothing says that at all. He just seems like the type of person he will just prosecute you, right? Because you're a criminal. That's why he'll prosecute you. So, it's just amazing that Donald Trump just goes straight on the attack of these people. Like when Alex Jones, when he was in court and he was just there, right, attacking the judge and all them things there. I mean, the judges, this person is judging you and you're attacking this person. No wonder you've been fined over $1 billion. So anyway, yeah, so Jack's, I mean, he's, as I said, he's a war crimes prosecutor. So, and apparently he's just taken, they said to him, they're giving him some time to get up to his brief. He just says that I'm up, I'm ready to go. Right? So very soon things could be starting to happen with Donald Trump, especially with regards to the Mar-a-Lago papers. And we have another mass shooting in America. This time in a LGBTQ plus club. But the only thing, I mean, because there was, I think, 5 people murdered and many people injured, and one guy, there was a guy in there. He was he's a Iraq veteran, and I think he's done 4 deployments or something like that in Iraq. And this guy, right, when this guy's in the middle of a shooting spree, this guy's just tackled him. Right. And then the only good thing about this, right, is because he got beaten up, and I think he got arrested this one, right, but he got kicked in his face by a trans woman, right, which was just and I don't know if you've ever seen the size of like trans women. I don't know if you've ever seen the size of their stilettos, but they're like this. Right, massive. And that's the only thing, do you know what I mean, to think you got your ass kicked the fuck out of by a load of flipping by a lot of trans people, and that, right, was the only fucking. But then, as I said, right, who is going to, in America, is going to stop this gun violence? Because obviously, like, the people don't seem to really want to stop it. I mean, this is a minority group, right? Because obviously this is it's a gay club, so this is a minority group that's been targeted. But then you have children targeted, and they target the most innocent. I mean, these we've had kindergarten children murdered, and that still have people fighting for the right to bear arms. So I mean, going and killing a load of gays, that's not gonna change people's minds, right? But then we've got another shooting in America. This time in a Walmart in Virginia. 6 people I think, murdered in this one. You know, so another mass shooting again, right? And, you know, people, you know, gone into a store. I'm not sure, but from what I caught, I think it might have been an employee. I think it might have been a manager. I think, but I think it was an employee of the store. Do you know what I mean? So just got in there, and just decided just going to go and kill as many people as they could possibly get away with. But I think this one was killed in the store. So I don't know if it was by the police or by some you know, maybe a good guy with a gun, because you know what it's like in America. They always say, well, the best thing you can do to stop a bad guy with a gun is have a good guy with a gun. No, the best thing you could do to stop a bad guy with a gun is not to allow them to be able to get guns in the first place. That would be the best thing you could do. That would be the best use of your time. But no, they're not there yet. And I don't think they ever will be. And we've got 162 people who have been killed in an earthquake. That was so far. That was the last time I heard the story, because these are a couple of days old. Because obviously, I haven't done a video for 2 days. So, yes, 162 people killed in an earthquake in Indonesia. But you know, Indonesia, it sits on the Ring of Fire, innit? Do you know what I mean? So that's why they're often having earthquakes, because of where it sits on that part of the equator or whatever it is, you know. So it's always it's quite a regular thing that they get tremors and all those type of things. But obviously this one's been quite a massive one. And obviously it's like, you know, that was a couple of days ago, 162 people dead. So it's probably gone up significantly in that time. So you know, we have to send our thoughts to these people. I don't know if you've been watching the footy, but I have, and like the Iraq players and fans, yeah, just not sing the national anthem. It's just like, and, you know, considering like that, you know, that our players and, you know, all the Europeans had, I was talking all the big talk. Oh, you know, we're gonna wear our armbands and that, and the minute FIFA just come and said, well, you do that, and we're going to get, and you people are going to get, you get yellow cards, right? Well, you see, now, I mean, obviously FIFA threw the ball, no pun intended, back into their court at that point, right? So it was either they said, well, okay, every single player is going to wear it, right? Even the substitutes, manager, substitutes, right? But every one of our players are going to wear it. So you're going to give us all a yellow card, right? We're going to still wear it, right? Then you need to give us all a red card, right? And then we can send all the European clubs home, yeah? Send them all home, all the European clubs, right? And see how that will go down for the Qatar. But no, they all decided to buckle, right? While the Iranians, right, really showed real strength and true grit. And you know, you have to look at them and say, you know something, because they've really taken, you know, they're taking their lives into their own hands by standing there, you know, making a protest against their government, because that's what they're doing. They're making a protest against their government, you know. Even the Germans that come out, you know, still got their ass busted though by Hong Kong, but they come out and done so. I mean, so you have to say, well, you know, a lot of people took a little bit of a protest, and you know, it's just a shame that the Brits and the rest of the Europeans decided, oh no, well, we was just talking, because you know, when it comes down to it, right, you know, we're not really that concerned about the gays, yeah, right. And I don't know if you saw the. Obviously, England won. England had a win, and Wales drew, which, you know, it's not too bad so far. So you know, I would have preferred, obviously, Wales to have a win, but you know, Wales drew, and against America. America's a pretty good team. Do you know what I mean? So that was pretty nice for them. And another football story: ex-Wales captain Laura McAllister was stopped from entering the stadium when she was going to go and watch the Wales team play, because she was wearing a rainbow bucket hat. Right? And they said to her, no, you can't come in that. Yeah, that's how these people are going on. Right? But you know, it's just like, really, I don't even know. You know something, right? I don't even know what these people's problem is. You know, if they want to get, if they want to have like European football, you know, come into like, you know, places like Qatar, then you know, I don't understand how they expect to do these type of things, right? And because, but then you see a lot of those regions, they get things like they get the Grand Prix quite often. I don't know if there's one in Qatar, but there's certainly one in the Middle. I think there's a couple in the Middle East, right? So they get things like that, right? And the drivers often take out protests, so they might wear helmets that are rainbow helmets, or they might have some rainbow on their suits, right? And obviously, because you can't really, you can't really ban a driver from and say, well, he's not driving. I suppose you can give them points. You can give them a couple of points, or you take a couple of points off them, or whatever. And maybe a drive-through penalty, or 5 seconds of 5 seconds off their time, or something like that. But I doubt they're doing stuff like that for a protest for a driver. I doubt they do anything like that. If a driver want to protest, they protest. But for some reason, when it comes down to the football, they can push the footballers about. But then in the first place, it's not something that Qatar should have got. Qatar should have never got the World Cup anyway. And then we move over to Scotland, because a court has ruled that Scotland cannot hold a referendum. So it's Indy bin. The referendum. Indy bin. you know something, right? Obviously I've got mixed views over that, because it's an absolute liberty, right? Them saying to the Scots, well, no, we're not going to allow you to you can stay, all right? Because that's like a drunken husband, right? Coming home and just being able to knock the wife about, right? That's how our relationship seems. But on the other hand, right? I don't want to lose Scotland from over here. I don't want the breakup of the United Kingdom, right? So for me, it's a mixed blessing, really. Do you know what I mean? Because, I understand that the Scots are going to be really pissed. Because I would be really pissed if if you was told, well, no, you're not allowed to leave. It's a liberty. Do you know what I mean? So, but as I said, I don't really want I don't really want the Scots to leave anyway. And then we've got obviously Ronaldo has left Man United, and Man United is up for sale. So they would like all of your bids. If you can put a bid in, that would be great. It's probably, if Chelsea went for, what did Chelsea go for? 4 billion, innit? So, don't know what's Man United, 5.5, 6 billion, I suppose. Got to be biggest club in the world, isn't it? NHS dentists can't pull out teeth. That's not true. I got my tooth pulled by an NHS dentist just a few weeks ago. But it's a story that Richard Maley said, because what a dentist had told him this. So it's a story that he had brought up, and then he was challenged by a dentist yesterday, I think on GMB. Yesterday he was challenged by a dentist who said, no, that's not true. But I don't know, because all of the private dentists, they was all of the NHS dentists before. They just all moved private. That's it. But all of them was the NHS dentist before, and they've all gone through the NHS training. So I can certainly tell you that there's no way that story. I can't even believe that story. There's anything behind that story, But as I said, I got my tooth pulled just a few weeks ago by an NHS dentist. And the government is to give advice on energy saving. And when I saw the first part of that, and I saw something about not turning radiators, and I thought to myself, what, in fucking November in Great Britain? Are you fucking sick? Not turning the fucking radiators on. Right? See, when the politicians talk about, when they talk to how they're cutting down on their energy consumption, you think to yourself, why? Why are you cutting down on your energy consumption? Because you've got more than enough money to pay it. So, don't do it on our behalf, right? Just keep your house nice and warm. Do it on your own behalf. There's someone who's living in a fucking mansion, and I heard them say, big ass mansion this person's got, and say, I'll just keep one room warm. And I think, why? Why the fuck you got a mansion to only keep one room? Why don't you just get a flat? What's the point in having a fucking mansion and keeping one fucking... Right, keep the whole fucking house warm. Right? But yeah, I can't remember who it was now, but it it was someone really rich. So they live in like a big off mansion. Do you know what I mean? They only use one room, and that's the only room they keep warm. And I think people live some very sad lives. Mick Lynch has been nicknamed the Christmas Grinch, or the Grinch who stole Christmas. But so the thing is, because it was Daily Mail, and Mick Lynch was just like, because when the Daily Mail report was like, yeah, Mick Lynch, are you the Grinch that stole Christmas? And Mick Lynch was like, do you remember when your newspaper was back in the black shirts? I was like, way to go, Mick Lynch. Just tell them exactly what you mean. Because that's true. That's what the Daily Mail was doing. They used to they was back in the black shirts, back then. So, and then we've got strikes coming up. Speaking of Mick Lynch, we've got plenty of strikes coming up because we've got the post office and teachers and nurses and railway workers and drivers and I think HGV drivers and so much people all over the place, and I think there's going to be some coordinated action as well because obviously these people are not hearing. The only people to blame for this is the damn government, because obviously they've got they're telling you it's private companies that are running like the railway lines and that, but they are fully behind the negotiations and telling a lot of these private companies what to do. Right, and so because I think there was close to a deal, but then all of a sudden, because I think what Mick Lynch was saying, all of a sudden they just phoned them when an hour or so before the meeting and said, no, we can't have a meeting because we've had new advice. But I think they was talking about, what was it, 8% over the next 18 months or the next 2 years or something like that. So this is just completely ridiculous. I mean, it's so ridiculous, right, that when you find out that like MPs, right, can claim for their Christmas parties, they can claim taxpayers' expense for their Christmas parties, and they all jumped up and said, "Oh no, nothing to do with us. No, we don't know anything about this. None of us asked for this." And all of a sudden, the people, I think it's called IPSA, they're the people who say how much the MPs can get paid, and things like their expenses, and they've just come forward and said, "Oh no, MPs have been inquiring about this." So some of them have been inquiring to find out, what about this Christmas parties? Are we allowed to claim any of that social money for us to claim so we can have our Christmas parties? Can we claim any of that social money? Because these people all live off socialism, our socialism, which is no good for us, but it's good for them. And that's why they could have the cheek to say, you know what, even our Christmas parties, right, even though, right, if they worked a way around it, right, they could claim for it anyway, right? But what they're doing is they just want direct money to say, well, this money can go towards your Christmas. Just a liberty, especially as people in this country are going through some really, really hard times. But why are you going through those hard times? I'll tell you why you're going through those hard times. It's because you're a bunch of damn stupid-ass racist fools, right, who have always voted against your own interests. And that's the reason why you can't heat your homes, right, but they are getting cash for their Christmas parties, right, so they can have sausage rolls and all sorts of things on sticks, right, while you're sitting in your house like under a blanket, right, with the radiator, and they've said to you, right, we'll give you some energy advice. Keep your radiators off. Seriously. I'm sure they said, what's the one of them? Someone said do star jumps. Yeah. I think we should take that advice. Maybe some star jumps. And the Prime Minister, has found himself being embarrassed because he's been found to be using a GP service that costs, I think, £250 per visit, and I think it's about £300, £400 or £500 for a home visit. I say, well, the man's got 750 grand, right? Why the hell are you sweating him over him using a private GP service, even though he is presiding over like the NHS, and we can't get a same day service, but so he said, you know what, the NHS that I'm providing over, they can't offer this service, so I'm going to go to somewhere where they can offer that service. But I mean, the truth is, right, I mean, if Rishi Sunak wanted to see his GP, right, I'm quite sure, right, without a shadow of a doubt, that his GP would make time to see him. I'm sure he wouldn't say to him, yes, Mr. Sunak, you have to come and wait. You can come in at 11 o'clock and I'll probably see you about 11:15. Is that all right? Say, yeah, but I'm going to have like this. I've got the Secret Service with me, so they're sort of like in a hurry. Anything they do, they don't really like to hang about too much. So I'm quite sure, but for some reason, like there is the fact that he's Asian. And that might be the reason why this story's come out instead of right, the truth. I mean, the truth is, I mean, he's, if you know someone who's got 700 million quid in the bank, right, would you expect to see them sat in your local GP surgery? Because if I had that money, I'd be like, you think I'm going to go and sit around with you diseased motherfucking fools? I'm not going to go and sit with you motherfucking sick fools. You're sick, right? I want to be anywhere near you. Nowhere. In fact, I'm going to have a doctor come to my house. Won't be the same doctor as you're using, because I'll be using one who costs £300 or £400 to come to my house. You're joking, right? But they think it's a massive story. It's not a big story. It's just ridiculous. Joe Lycett has admitted, that he did not shred £10,000. He said his words was, that would be irresponsible. And I'll tell you this, this man is a fantastic comedian. Brilliant career. Right? No, on a serious note, I mean, it was a marvellous stroke because obviously, it's got him some major attention, and, obviously, if you're stupid enough to destroy £10,000, the best thing you could do would be to come out and say, of course I didn't destroy 10,000, don't be so stupid, right? Because you see the backlash was massive, right? So, I mean, the only thing he could have done was come out and said, oh, you know what, of course it wasn't real money. But that's what he said. He reckons he donated it to charity the week before or whatever, and obviously it wasn't real money that went in there. I think we're on to Brexit. Oh no, we'll go Starmer first. Because obviously Keir Starmer has said that Britain needs to stop depending on migrant labour. And Keir Starmer has got to be pandering to the far right. Because that's what you've got to do. I mean, unfortunately, right, he's actually got to go down these lines. But you see, this is what happened to Labour. This is what happened to Labour, back in probably starting around 2008, 2009, maybe 2007, right, when they started to fearing the Tories and the Tories, because once you're in government for quite a while, the other side can start pushing you about because of things like immigration and stuff like that. So the Tories was getting a lot stronger with the whole immigration thing back then, right? So that's when the Tories really started pushing Labour. So the Labour Party started doing nonsense that they shouldn't have really done. That's when they brought in the hostile environment, because the Tories was pushing them in a way. So the Labour wanted to appease those people, even though you can't appease those people. It's never going to work. Right? It's never going to work. Do you know what I mean? Right. So because of that, the Labour Party made the mistake and brought in the hostile environment, which as soon as the Tories got in power, they started using the hostile environment in a completely different way. So this is so that's what happens. Right? And obviously this, it's a similar thing that's happening with the Tories right now, it's a similar thing that is happening again with Labour. So that's why Keir Starmer has to push back, because the Tories can get him on immigration, And if Keir Starmer seems to be soft on immigration, that's where the Tories can get that. That's their gotcha moment every single time. If they could just, because at the moment, they can sling Brexit in his face to say, well, if he got half a chance, he would rejoin, right? So Keir Starmer's had to make it plain and simple. No, I have no way I will rejoin. I don't want to rejoin. I don't even remember what the EU was about. Right. That's how Keir Starmer's got to act. He's got no choice at the moment because he knows what the right wing, and they will just crucify him with that. I mean, if he was to say, what we're going to be looking at like a Swiss model or single market or a customs union, he'd get crucified, and that could actually lose him the next election. So he's got to go with this hard line on migrants. He's got to carry on with that. And he's got to say, stuff like, Britain needs to stop relying on migrant labour, even though Britain has no option. It's got no option, right? Because otherwise, right, you're gonna have no British fruit and vegetables. You'll have none, right? Unless they can come up with the machinery that can pick it. Right, you'll have none at all because British people are not going to go and do those jobs. It's not going to happen. I mean, British people, when it comes down to hospitality, full stop. Brits only want to work a certain amount of time in hospitality, and then they want to step over to a better job. You can only fold so many sheets, or you can only clean so many McDonald's toilets. Right, before shifts to a new job. But let's speak about some Brexit. And we've only got one Brexit story because, the thing is, we only need one Brexit story. And this one comes out of Grimsby. And you know me already, right? I have no sympathy. This serves these people right. You people in Grimsby, right? You knew what you voted for, right? Exactly. Right? And that's why they voted, right? For the demise of their own town. They voted for that. Right, because now they've got another factory closed down in Grimsby, right? And it's grim in Grimsby, of course it is. And they decided they was going to vote 70%, well 69.9% for Brexit, right? Knowing, right, that that these factories, right, these seafood factories and things like that, they depend, right, on Europe. They depend on that business. Right. A lot of, they might be selling a lot of their seafood in this country, right? But, again, seafood is, it's sort of hit and miss, right? It's sort of hit and miss. It used to be a lot bigger, especially in London, like your cockles and your wingles and, your eel and all these type of things. But now it's the market's a lot less. Right, especially as a lot of these things you can get them in the supermarket. I know that's not authentic. We can get a lot of these things in the supermarket, but places like Grimsby, these were seaside. These was like fishing towns, right? And these fishing towns have been destroyed because this particular factory is a seafood factory, and we've got 500 people or something like that. This place employed. So we're looking at what? 350, 360 families, because we can say what? We can say at 500, should we go for 150, 140 might be single, right? And the rest of them could have families, maybe just a couple, maybe a couple with one kid, maybe a couple with 7 or 8 kids, right? All depending on work from this factory. Right, but these people voted against their own interest when they voted 70% to leave the EU, to leave their biggest market. The market, right, if they hadn't have left, right, which would have still kept their seafood factory going. Right, and their town wouldn't be facing absolute ruin right now. Because you imagine that all the knock-on effects for all round, right? And as I said, right, I have no sympathy for these people because they're a bunch of racist arses, right? These people were born with a racist gene right there in the forehead, right? I just feel sorry for the other 30% of the people in that up there who didn't vote for this bullshit. But these people who voted for it, you deserve every second of this Brexit. Right, and you see, now in this time of real crisis, for you to go and lose your job now, right, you was warned, right, and I can't even say, what, the company owners would have said to them, oh, I'm sure you know that if you vote Brexit, it's going to be really bad for this country, and this company could fail if you vote Brexit. But then when you look at people like Tim Martin or Lord Wolfson, both of these people running major industries in this country, right? And both of them who voted for Brexit, and now both of them have realised, oh, that was a bit of a mistake. So the owners of this factory in Grimsby, well, they could have voted for Brexit themselves, just vote for their own demise because of the stupidity. Because all these people know is culture wars, racism, xenophobia, bigotry, hate. That's it. That's what their world is full of, hate. Anyway, guys, look, I am 19 minutes over, but I did not do a video yesterday or the day before. And one day I might even tell you why. Anyway, guys, look, I have to bow out of here because I'm 40 minutes now. This, my friends, is By Any Means Necessary. I'm the MC John Ribs. It was really nice to speak to you guys. Comments below.